It's cold.
It's gone up 15 degrees.
Yeah, same here. Did you get the snowstorm?
Huh?
Did you record the snowstorm?
Yeah, most of it. 20 minutes of it.
Sleet storm, whatever it was.
I went out to water the garden. I can't believe that picture of me, Sara Lee, Diana, Joy, 30 acres. God blows my mind. I don't have any wrinkles. Should. I don't know. What if they store for munchies or off the home? Huh? Okay. That's been enough money to know.
Troops fighters in those areas, and this is also strategically important because it's near the border with Syria, and it's part of a route connecting Hezbollah with its allies in Syria, Iran, and also Iran, which is
What's
also
that window in
Hezbollah's
the corner for? Oh,
We had this
the top
message
bunk,
from the
right?
new leader of
What's that?
Hezbollah
Look out for them
on
top
secret
bunk.
locations
Yeah.
today. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so this was the
Some
first
fresh
speech
air for
from
somebody.
Naim Qasem after he was announced as the new Hezbollah Secretary General, replacing Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike here in Beirut. He spoke for more than an hour. I think, unsurprisingly, he didn't announce any change in terms of Hezbollah's strategy. He said that the war was going to continue. But I think it was very interesting that he said Hezbollah could accept a ceasefire with Israel if the conditions were right. And I think this is very important because in the last few days there's been a lot of speculation about the possibility of a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. The Americans tonight
Well, I got these shoes to wear,
two
dude.
senior
I could
officials are
slip
going
them on,
to Israel
slip them off.
tomorrow to discuss a deal.
Looks like
And
I
it
wanted
seems
to.
that this plan being discussed includes a 60-day ceasefire. And during this pause in hostilities, all sides will discuss the full implementation of the United Nations resolution that ended the last war here in 2006. So it seems that there's a lot of discussion happening behind the scenes, and we could see.
Might as well make a loop out of it, right?
In the next few days, in the next few weeks.
Yes,
but,
sir.
it's a ceasefire in this conflict.
Hugo, thank you. Hugo Shagan in Beirut. Let's talk a little bit more about what's been happening in Parliament now. We're talking to the MP Adrian Chi, who represents the Strong Republic Party, and he's the MP for Parliament, the City of Parliament.
Sorry, I'm really
There
cold.
are a lot of displaced people that they are seeking shelters.
You're in that bathroom that wasn't heated,
The
right?
situation there is really
Totally not.
catastrophic.
Just
I'm talking about
don't turn it all the way
Beirut, for
down.
example. This region was already saturated because yesterday
I'll stick up
we
my
had
sweater.
almost 10 to 12,000 displaced people. Today, mainly after the Israeli warnings to Baalbek city and other surrounding villages, families were evacuating.
Getting the wave, is that kind of like getting
towards
the lift?
different regions, but mainly towards the region of Deir Ahmar. When I say families,
Or is that an
I'm talking
Attagirl?
about thousands
That's an
of
Attagirl,
people.
isn't it?
In Baalbek, the struck region now,
Whatever you
there
want to
was
be.
at least 15,000
Just don't do that.
displaced
I'll be
persons.
seeing that for the next
So
2 years or
for
whatever.
the second time, they are seeking shelter, and hundreds of other families also are seeking to leave Baalbek towards other regions.
And some people, of course, will have family members or friends to go and stay with. For people who don't have that, where are they going?
I think it'd be fun to take a tour of this place someday. They probably don't offer it, but you know, it'd be fun to do it anyway.
You can't even sneak in.
Yeah, after it shuts down in a few years, just sneak in. That'd be fun. Well, maybe not fun. Be daring.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think the government wants to do something that stupid.
start transporting it a lot further.
We've heard a lot about Baalbek in the news in
Convert.
recent days, but for those people listening to news now,
Timber.
It's maybe the second or the third biggest and
Well, and they were going to go to a natural gas plant here, but
you have different
they said no.
temples, the temple for Bacchus and the ruins of the whole citadel, and it's very well conserved. It used to be the main cultural event was held at the Baalbek ruins, and
I had
it
the
used
right of
to
way.
be a really
Huh?
touristic.
They said I had the right of way. That was kind of cool.
That was attractive not only from Lebanon.
He had the stop sign, I didn't.
The world. It used to be.
You ran the stop sign?
He had the stop sign. I didn't.
Since 2-3 years, it's not anymore the same.
What did he do wrong?
Why?
Nothing.
Because Hezbollah was around.
I was just saying that was kind of cool because I had the right of way. I didn't have to stop. I didn't have to wait for him because technically he was there before I was.
Some of the streets around Baalbek ruins, they date since 1,000 years. It's an international.
But I didn't have a stop sign, so I didn't have to stop. He did.
Protected by the international community.
Birdie's getting bored. Birdie wants to kick that other guy's ground and see what he does. Whatever he can come up with. From sunny to whiteout in 10 minutes, right? Up to Colorado.
That'd be kind of trip to be in like a tunnel like that with the whiteout, right? That'd be kind of cool.
Well, kind of. He got stuck.
Yeah, you wouldn't get stuck. It's fucking crazy. Be a whiteout for like 5 minutes and you just drive right out.
That was a little light cat.
I'm standing at the edge of the Gobi Desert waiting for the launch of Shenzhou 19. This is China's latest mission to its homegrown space station called Tiancong, or Heavenly Palace. The BBC has been given rear access to this launch center,
Rear
just
access.
about a kilometre away
Is that a gay
from
thing?
the spacecraft itself. So we're expecting one community war.
Oh, hell.
This launch is yet another step
Hail?
in a growing space race.
No, it's more like sleet.
Eventually decide who owns the moon.
But sleet is just miniature hail balls.
The three chosen to fly to China's homegrown space station were introduced from behind glass to prevent infection. They include the country's first female space engineer, Wang Shaozi.
It's such cool decorations here.
A dream of exploring the vastness of space, waving to the stars, and of course, looking back at Canada. My deepest affection will always be for Motherland, no matter where I am. I will keep striving and working tirelessly. The team have trained together for a year to conduct experiments and carry out spacewalks. The pilot
We didn't have
is a
any
veteran
cast
that
before.
will run and her crewmates
I have a couple.
China's next generation of space explorers. And this year they launched their country carry-out an historic first and collect lunar samples from the far side of the moon. China also has a fleet of satellites in space and has plans for many more. A rival to Elon Musk's Starlink. After meeting the astronauts, we were allowed right next to the spacecraft several hours before launch. You can hear the announcements in the background. Final preparations are being made. and it has Washington worried. The head of NASA has said that the US and China is in a new space race. Li Yinyan from China's manned space flight agency told us the country's discoveries belonged to the world.
I think his concerns are unnecessary. We adhere to the principles of peaceful use, equality, mutual benefit, and joint development.
Hundreds have gathered along the streets in the dark to wave flags and brightly coloured lights as the taikonauts make their last few steps on Earth before heading to the launch site. The brass band
It's your
strikes
Friday
up
night,
"Forward
right?
to the Motherland" as young children kept
Night,
up
yeah.
late for the occasion. Their cheeks adorned with the Chinese flag shout every note. This is a moment of national pride. China's rivalry with the US is no longer just based here on Earth. Both could soon be staking territorial claims well beyond this planet.
Alright, might as well check the mailbox.
Our China correspondent Laura Becker at the launch base in the Gobi Desert. You can read more about that online at bbc.com/news. The article is called "China Declares Success as its Youngest Astronauts Reach Space." That latest from the US election, and also about the flooding in Spain that we'll come on to talk about on NewsHour in a moment or two. bbc.com/news for the latest. You're listening to NewsHour from the BBC World Service with Andrew Peach.
You listen to CPR News for understanding and informed discussion. The platform requires thoughtful presentation of information from diverse perspectives, without fear or favor. Your support is integral to the journalism you count on from CPR's newsroom, maybe even more during this election season. Donate today and help bring fair, thoughtful journalism to all Coloradans at CPR.org. Support comes from Boulder Ensemble Theater and the Ballads of Paula Aguilar, a comedy about votes, sperm, and knowing one another. Now for November
Votes,
3rd,
sperm,
at the
and knowing
Rehab
one
Center.
another.
Tickets at betc.org.
Gross.
Support comes from Comcast Business. From Main Street to Wall Street, Comcast Business provides business
Yeah, we
solutions
got
ranging from
colors there.
cybersecurity solutions to round-the-clock partnership.
Wall is definitely
Comcast
a
Business,
Craig.
empowering possibilities. Restrictions apply.
Colors in those trees are
Live
kind
from
of nice.
London, this is Andrew Peach with NewsHour. The video footage you may have been seeing shows overturned cars and smashed shop fronts. Spain has declared 3 days of mourning after scores of people died in the flash flooding there, mainly in Valencia. More than 1,000 military personnel are being deployed in the east and south of the country. The Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says those who've suffered won't be abandoned. The mayor of Puerto del Salcedo, Consuelo Terrazone, told NewsHour what it looks like.
Una visión dantesca.
It was a terrible vision. In my 58 years, I've never seen anything like this before. Generally, the water comes from the lower parts to the higher parts of the town. But in this case, because water has been coming from other towns in Valencia, it has been running through other villages and it first flooded the higher part of our town.
Now, the sort of flooding we've seen in Spain and more incidents of extreme drought that we've seen over the last year as well, affecting half of the Earth's land surface, according to new figures out today from the Lancet Countdown on Health and Climate Change. They're two sides of the same coin. The BBC World Service series Life at 50 Degrees looks at the impact that climate change is having on water. And as our population correspondent Stephanie Higgett has been telling me, there's a link between more floods alongside more periods of drought.
So what we know about the effects of climate change is as the Earth warms up, the oceans warm up, and that means they evaporate more into the air. At the same time, the air warms up and it can absorb more moisture. For every degree of warming,
It's
the
kinda
Earth
early
absorbs
still.
7% more moisture.
Yeah, but
We
still,
have
you
the
never know
ability
with
to
Craig.
be warmed 1.2
Yeah.
degrees over being
Either
natural levels.
10.
So we've got a lot more moisture in the air. When that hits land,
Nice
or
parking.
Maybe on
storms
Saturday.
that causes more intense
Maybe
storms
on a
or
Sunday,
causes more
too.
intense bouts of rain.
Nice
And
parking
after
space,
that, then we
dude.
get
Yeah,
periods of
I think about
drought. On the flip side, if you have a
Shall we
long
go
period
by
of
and
drought,
stick a
and
dollar
then
in
that's
the window
followed by
saying,
rain, which is
hey,
happening increasingly.
give it to your
We saw
parking
in
guy?
Spain really serious droughts last year and the beginning of this year, over the summer. Then you get the soil drying out, it becomes
shall we
hard, and when the rain
call
hits
the
it,
police
it
like
runs
what they
off
did on
faster,
Kenny?
and that creates flash flooding.
That's interesting. So it's the same water, basically, but distributed in a more uneven way, and then
violation.
exacerbated by the ground conditions.
This is exactly what climate change is doing. It's changing the way our weather patterns work.
Bigger kitty.
And these new patterns we're not used to.
All right.
Our infrastructure isn't used to it, and the land and the soil aren't used to it. Plants aren't used to it. Plants can adapt to drought conditions, and then when the rain comes, they're just completely unprepared for it.
And countries like Spain will need to think about their infrastructure in the context of having to cope with both of these things, with drought and floods. Tell me about how the changes we're seeing are affecting people living in drought areas.
This data that has come out today has shown that in the 1980s, 15% of the world's land mass was affected by extreme drought. And now that figure is around 45%, so it's tripled in 40 years. So as part of this Life at 50 Degrees series, the World Service travelled to parts of the world that are hottest, that are experiencing most intense increase in temperatures, but also are struggling from a lack of water. So we went to northeastern Syria, a town called Hakasa, and there 1 million people, 1 million inhabitants of the city have been almost completely cut off from their water supply. They used to get water through their river, which over the past 20 years or so has completely dried up. Now all the water they need comes in from other places in tankers. This is a resident of Hakasa that we met at one of these points of water distribution.
For the rest of the people, there's no access to water. It's unfair for the poor people to die of thirst. People are going to go thirsty all day. There's no water in this neighbourhood whatsoever. On this street, we fight over 1 container of water. It's okay for children to fight, but we also fight over water. People are ready to kill their neighbour over water. May God help you.
Now, for this series, your team also went to South Sudan and found a very different dynamic there. Explain more to me.
So what's happening in South Sudan is this double hazard where they faced, half of the country was in extreme drought last year, and then 700,000 people were affected by flooding. So we have this situation where the soil is dry, damaged, lacking in plant cover, and then flooding hits and it really just washes everything away. We spoke to families there who've lost everything, their farms, their cattle herders. They're traditionally a cattle herding community, and they are now forced to live in displacement camps to rely on government aid, and when that's not enough, they have to forage in the floodwater for food to eat. And when we met them, they were foraging for water lily roots.
Kitty, 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 kitty. Kitty. Gracie, go in. Gracie. Good girl.